so
There's been some really interesting attacks on the WMAP data lately. I don't know if you've been following this, but I came across some interesting issues with regard to the Doppler shift. Like there's a particular isotropy with regard to the direction of the motion of our galaxy with respect to the CMB. In other words, it looks warmer depending on the direction of the motion of certain bodies, including our solar system, but also the galaxy itself. And this has actually been the most mainstream attack on the whole operation that I've seen in recent times.
Well, Dr. Robitaille revealed all of this long before this sort of thing came up. So the definitive works are his, and anybody who's really interested in the facts can go there. And you can see he's an expert in imaging science as well as being an expert spectroscopist, a physical chemist. He's an expert in imaging science because he's the inventor of ultra-high field MRI. So he knows a lot about imaging, more than those guys do with their satellites looking at stars, right? And if you had the quality of their imaging in medicine, you'd be laughed out the door, right? So he knows.
He's such a careful and kind scientist. I think that's the reason I love Pierre so much. Is he takes so much abuse from people, and he just has this ability to realize that they're suffering from their human conditions, their careers, and all of these things, and not to get angry at them. He has this way of just realizing that this is what must happen, and people will eventually understand that I'm right about these things. But he doesn't have the bitterness that you often associate. And I think that's, God, that's just charitable. Supernatural almost, his ability to stay centered in the midst of such horrendous vitriolic attacks.
Yes. He's perhaps more charitable than myself, but I'm not angry either. I couldn't care less. I'm just going out there and telling the truth. They call me all sorts of things too, but it doesn't ruffle my feathers. I couldn't care less. So it doesn't make me angry, doesn't make me anxious. I just have a laugh, go along, and they scream and yell and carry. Even my current video, and I have another video lecture with on Dr. Robitaille's channel where I'm dealing with special relativity, and if you go and see the comments there from these relativists, it's laughable. And I don't know what's in their mind. Do they think that they make me upset with their comments? It doesn't bother me. For me, it's a hobby because I'm not going to waste my life on this kind of nonsense as something that's a central issue in my life. They have it as a central issue in their life, and I see what it really is. It's nonsense. And it's not difficult to explain, and I do it in my spare time, and I don't have much spare time. I've got lots of other things that I want to do. My life's more important. To me, there are more important things in my life than just wasting my time with these nonsensical calculations and such. But, I go out there and tell the truth about it, and they call me all sorts of things. Look, I've got one from the University of Adelaide. I got, for instance, a scientist there. He wrote an email to me and called me a poo-brain dick ass. Then he wrote another one later. I'm not kidding you. From his email account, so I have the copies of them. So it's all evidence. And then he called me a C. You know what a C is, don't you? In another email. And then he called me scum in a third email. And those three emails came within 1 minute of each other. That's in 3 minutes. So I sent it to the University of. I said, "This is a laugh." I laughed at it. I thought this is ridiculous. This guy's. What is he? Is he 5 years old? Anyway, I sent it to the vice chancellor and the head of school at the physics department at the University of Adelaide, and they ignored me. They ignored the complaint. Can you believe it? Even though I gave them the emails, I said, "Look at this. What's going on here?" Then I said, "Okay, I'll have a bit of fun with this." So I sent it to the newspapers. Well, the newspapers took it up. The Adelaide Advertiser took it up, made a big story of it. It was mirrored in the Courier in Queensland, up in Brisbane way. It's a lot, thousands of kilometres away. So it got a lot of play in the media. Only then, when the journalists contacted the university, did they decide to say something. And what do they tell the media? You can read it. They said to the media, "Oh, well, we encourage academic debate." No, you don't. That was a blatant lie. Because they said nothing when I complained about this guy. I just sent it there to see what would happen. because I had a death threat once from a guy at the Max Planck Institute. Can you believe that? I'm not telling you a lie. Yeah. So I sent that to the Max Planck Institute and to the Max Planck Society. They ignored it. They let him get away with a death threat. Unbelievable. So this is what you might call peer-reviewed science. The methods of peer-reviewed science. Yeah. But I've been around a long time. I'm not a young bloke, and I've got a lot of experience in forensic investigations. I've dealt with some ugly customers in my life. I don't care about cosmologists. It's a waste of time, So, but I'm not going to let them get away with this nonsense. It's so easy to prove that it's rubbish, right? But the problem is they're leading many people in their early careers up a garden path and then causing them to waste their lives on meaningless investigations.
That's the saddest part, I think.
Yeah, see.
I mean, the first thing I tell all of my students is when you see the word dark or black or any of these death cult words, it basically can resolve to, we don't understand this phenomena. And I'm like, look, kids, that's the cool stuff that you need to understand, because what you're hearing when you see that label is that those are the holes in our understanding. Those are the phenomena that we don't understand. Those are where the fresh development can come from. If you move past thinking that you're too dumb to understand the mathematics or something like that. Those are clearly aspects of these giant theoretical landscapes that are not understood. And when you start looking at it that way, it really becomes a much more inspirational field, because there's a lot of work to be done.
Yes, there's plenty of things to discover. But if you're sidetracked on things that you end up making a career of and it's rubbish, you've now taken away that person's career aspirations, really. You've taken away something they could have done better with their lives. Right? Just because you've now wasted your life on nonsense, do you want to now be spiteful and do it to someone else and keep this going? Well, what is this? So I don't, but I don't have an academic post. I don't want an academic post. I don't want to rub shoulders with those academics because they're so stupid. And yet they think they're such geniuses, And they don't like me because I'm brusque, I'm not couth. I think that's uncouth, isn't it? You're not couth?
I got super lucky when I was absolutely shocked that I even got an interview for teaching astrophysics and cosmology, because I show up to the interview and the department chair is telling me, about the curriculum. And at some point she mentions that the second semester involves talking about black holes. She's like, we're going to do all the black holes and the Big Bang and all this crazy stuff. And I kind of clammed up, right? I didn't know what to do, because since I was 11 years old, I wasn't buying any of this stuff. And she saw that I was clamming up, and she's like, or you can talk about how maybe those things didn't happen at all. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I mean, the James Webb data is pretty strange and you should explore the topics. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I think the only reason I can get away with this is because I'm not at a research institution. There's no astronomy department to tell me what to do and what not to talk about. And so it's a pretty strange and awesome situation that I have, that I don't think most universities are privileged to, because the research and the money is all tied up in the narratives that are taught to the undergrads. So
of course.
It can happen, is all I'm saying. It is possible.